June 4th. Nice to meet you here. Grab a coffee and let's get smarter together. What I really like to do is take stories like the one about the Garden of Eden and look what their origin might have been. Before these stories were compiled to become what we now know as the Torah, probably during the Persian Achaemenid Empire, 450 to 350 BC, they must have been a long-standing part of the oral tradition. Why? Politics hasn't changed. To sell your idea, you never start from scratch. You take a well-known story, one that means something to the people, and put a spin on it. Removing the spin, therefore, will tell us something about what the people before wanted to teach each other, what they believed to be important to know. So, let's look at the original sin from the perspective of the natural tilt of explore-exploit balance, from the perspective of world generation, exploration, and the society it takes to enable it. And for that, let's start with cognitive light cones. A cognitive light cone visualizes the size of cognitive abilities of something or someone. To create it, you combine the size of the area around the subject that it's aware of with the time this awareness lasts into the past and the future. An amoeba will only care for the state of its immediate surroundings for a few seconds perhaps into the past and the future. Its cognitive light cone is very small. On the other hand, the spectrum, you have a human who is able to care about things happening in deep space, millennia in the past or millennia in the future. A human who has a very large cognitive light cone. Now, something interesting happens when two cognitive light cones come together. Their combined cognitive light cone is not simply the sum of the two. It's larger. It's a third agent, which stands on a level atop of the two original ones. Second-level agents can come together to create third-level agents, and so on. The combined agent will always be able to formulate bigger goals than the agents that came together to create it alone. Things can come together in different ways. One way is merging, as cells do when they come together to form a larger organism. The growth of the cognitive light cone will be at its largest this way. Specialization will lead to the emergence of new properties and more sophisticated functions. But as a type of standardization, specialization will prevent that the single part will ever tap its full potential, and the whole will be somewhat inflexible. A part that has merged with others can't defect against the whole anymore either, as it would mean defection against itself. You completely submit to the larger goals of the whole, the one emerging organism, even if these goals will lead to your personal death. For example, the larger organism decides to go bouldering. And that's something some of its skin cells will not survive. But who cares? Not the larger organism. The other way to come together is via cooperation. When simply cooperating, the growth of the cognitive light cone will not be as pronounced, meaning the joint goals will remain smaller. But you don't have to sacrifice yourself for the overall goals if that's not what fits your personal goals. And the need to convince rather than to take acceptance of whatever action for granted will lead to a more diverse input in the way the goals are set and pursued, what means more flexibility. There are more pros and cons for either version of coming together. But what I've already mentioned suffices to realize that our ancestors saw reason to warn against merging as the basis of a human society. And they did so in the story about the Garden Eden. Why I'm saying that? First thing to realize, a garden is always only a small part of a much larger landscape. And it's not like a wood, meadow or riverside. It's a human creation. In the story, the garden is a place designed so that everything in it, every plant and every creature, completely submits to one will. The plants and creatures have merged. The garden is one organism, one static organism in an otherwise highly complex and ever-changing landscape. And the inflexibility is a problem. That's why organisms die. The creatures from the garden who survived are humans who did the impossible and defected against themselves. How? They ate the fruit. They found a trigger for a switch in the selection of the data that the high-speed neural communication network picks up from the low-speed intercellular communication system to generate reality. It destroyed the first model of the world and self only to replace it with another. As the destruction and replacement rewarded the humans with more insight and better solutions, it taught them to never rely on one will and to never think that one model of the world and self would ever give them all the answers. Survival depended on a constant search for other triggers to destroy what has been, to make room for something better suited for the changing circumstances. It depended on everyone's exploration and every interpretation being considered. And the garden, seen from an outside perspective, thus became a group project that all the sub-agents working on are fully aware of, something they have to invest in and reimagine, or it will not materialize. It's the best model of a physical universe we can ever build in a process. The garden is still our group project. So explore, also known as think. Make a habit out of thinking. Let's turn thinking into a movement. Like, comment, share, and follow lest you miss a single opportunity to improve yourself and society. Once you do, we'll meet again at the coffee pot.